My name is Rana, Chhina, and I've come from New Delhi, India. At the USI, we are spearheading, along with the Ministry of External Affairs of the Government of India, the centenary commemoration of India's role in the Great War. The Indian Army was one of the few professional armies of the various British colonies. The Indian manpower, because of the martial races theory, was initially confined to a very, very small geographical base. The British in India had constructed a very artificial racial divide. Beyond a point, they found that it was becoming very difficult to get recruits. So they did broaden the recruiting base, and you had classes that had hitherto not been recruited, and from just a little over 100,000 men by the time the war ended, India had sent over 1.4 million men. The First World War had a great deal of support from the Indian political class. A person no less than Mahatma Gandhi was still advocating that India would not have the moral right to demand home rule if it was not willing to share the burden of imperial defense. That during the course of the war, the colonial authorities had made certain vague promises which they actually had no intention of keeping. The concessions that were announced fell far short of the expectation. There was a distinct switch from demanding to be autonomous within the British Empire, that's they wanted home rule, to ultimately demanding complete independence from Britain. World War I in India is pretty much a forgotten war. Indian soldiers had no political representation, and because they had no political identity, they were relegated to the background. The British official history just mentions them in passing, if at all. After independence, they were seen as having served the colonial power. And ever since we started the Great War Commemoration Project, we found it has struck a chord, and every day we have an increasing number of people who come to us, and they're carrying memorabilia, letters, all kinds of things which were lying buried over the last 100 years. There is an interesting memorial to one of the Indian Victoria Cross recipients, a Garhwali soldier, and there was a statue made of him in the district that he came from, and every year there is an annual fair that's held at that place, and so this act of valor in a battlefield in France has become a piece of a living community heritage in a remote part of the Garhwal Himalayas.